I've been a big fan of Ricoh cameras ever since I heard of them in like 2019, early 2020. And if you're familiar with my channel, my very first video was about the Ricoh GR IV. It was like 6 months after I bought the camera. I love so many different things about the Ricoh series of cameras. They're so small, the sensor is amazing, and there's something about the Ricoh straight out of the camera colors that just really, I don't know, it really makes me feel a certain way. I actually sold and bought the Ricoh GR III twice because how much I really love that camera. And so when the Ricoh GR IV was announced, I immediately pre-ordered it. So I've been using the Ricoh GR IV for over 6 months. I've had the Ricoh GR IV since October, and by the time December hit, I already had a recipe. I actually teased it in Threads in December, and I've just been really loving shooting with the Ricoh GR IV that I have hardly edited any of the raw files. Oftentimes people tend to compare the Ricoh GR IV series or the X100 film series of cameras to film cameras, although they're in totally different realms, but I do get the sentiment. What I really want out of a digital camera is for me to be able to get the colors that I want like 90% from the camera, and if I really want to like play with them a little bit without having to feel like I have to edit every single picture. And I feel like a lot of photographers, including myself, go through these phases where we're really into editing our RAWs, or we really want to look for a camera that can give us really good JPEGs. And I feel like the Ricoh GR IV gives you a really nice middle. So if you're familiar with me or my work, you know that I'm really into punchy colors. Like when I first started on my photography journey and as a professional photographer, I kind of was intimidated by color because I felt like it was too much, or that by leaning into color, my photos would somehow age worse. But what I've learned over the last 6 or 7 years that I've done YouTube is that I should just lean into things I really like. And if you don't know, this recipe is a direct call to NSYNC and their song Dirty Pop. And so what I want this recipe to kind of invoke is the feeling of both being in the moment of something, but also being a little bit larger than life. So I want the image to be a little contrasty, still a little colorful, but still retain what the moment looked like. And I'm not gonna go into detail about why I chose the settings I chose. It was trial and error, honestly. And I just finally got to the place where like I was getting so many images that I was really happy with, so that I felt like I could finally share it with people without having to feel like it was just like something that I made randomly. And honestly, this recipe was inspired by the new green profile, and the video that I originally saw was from the YouTube channel Samuel L. Street Life, which if you're not familiar, you should go check him out. But he had a really nice ethos and a really nice base with his profile. And although my recipe really deviates from what he likes in his images, I think if you're really into creating your own recipe, the Cine Green profile is a really, really nice base for you to be able to start and then craft your colors from there. So this is the complete profile. It starts with Cine Green, and then saturation is at +3, hue is at +1, high low key adjustment is at -1, contrast is at +2. And the reason why I keep it at +2 and not +3 is because I do want that wiggle room to be able to edit it in post if I really want to, which I'll show you some reference photos and some examples later on in the video. The next one is contrast highlight, which is at -2. Contrast shadow is at +1. Sharpness is at -1. I tend to like a more or less digital look out of my digital images, so I always turn sharpness down if I can. Toning is at 1. Shading is at 0. Clarity is at 0. I'm a big fan of the way the grain effect looks on Ricoh cameras, so I always turn it on. It's up to you if you like it. For me, it really adds a little something extra to the images. And I don't like to like put too much grain into it, but I do like that subtle look. And the final step is, which is really important and kind of makes this whole profile work, is a custom white balance. I'm not a super big fan of fiddling with white balance, so the only white balance that I customized is white balance with a warm tint. So if you go to auto white balance warm and then you press the function button, it'll take you to this other page where you can really fine tune your settings. And so what I did was M4 and A8, and that really makes this profile shine. Oh, and I almost forgot, I did customize one other one, which is cloudy, because sometimes I really want my images to be really warm. So what I did is I went to the cloudy white balance preset, and I also customized it at M3 and A6. But basically that's the whole profile, which gives me images that I really like, and it also gives me some wiggle room if I really want to edit some. Like, my philosophy with digital photography is to get my exposure right in camera. That way, if I really want to edit some more stuff in the Ricoh GR JPEGs, I can do so in Lightroom lightly. So let me give you some examples right now. So this first image is of my son with his friend. They were running around in Yosemite, and for this image, I used the shade white balance tint, and as you can see, it makes the whole photo really warm. And I mean, and honestly, like this picture for me is pretty much there. Like, I feel like the exposure is really nice, the framing is really nice, so I don't really mess with it. So I wanted to show you a photo that I wouldn't do anything to, but this is basically what the profile looks at in camera, and I was really happy with the colors that came out of this. And here's an example of the entrance of Disneyland, and as you can see, if you are just using the warm auto white balance, you don't get a crazy stylized image, but it does give you a nice, like, I don't like to say nostalgic, but it does gives you a nice balanced photo. So if you really want to continue to edit it a little bit, you can. So for me, I am a big fan of contrast, so I would adjust by adding contrast to the image. And as you can see, there's still a lot of latitude in this image to be able to get you where you want to go. Like, there's still information in the shadows. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, it's not a lot, it's a JPEG, but like I said, there's plenty of information for you to play around with. But what I would do is basically just bring up the contrast, because I do like a contrasty image. I will bring up the vibrance and the saturation. And I do want to give it a little bit of a tint, so like, adjusting the tint a little bit and the temperature, and then there you go. You still get a really nice base of an image and still getting to be able to play around with it. So as you can see here, the before and after, I really like this image, and I think the profile really gives me the latitude to be able to do this. And you don't have to do this in Lightroom. A lot of the images that I do edit from these JPEGs, which is not a lot, but when I do edit it, is just from the native iPhone app. So I just add a little contrast, play a little bit with the saturation, and I'm basically there. Here's another one from Disneyland that I really like. And like I said, this profile gives you a lot of latitude to be able to play with it if you really want to. So like, for example, this image, I'm pretty happy with the overall color of the image, but if I really wanted to play around with adding some warmth to it and adding contrast and maybe adding a little bit more color, a pop of color here, maybe adjusting the exposure. And like I said, these are JPEGs, so like, unless you're really adding a lot of stuff to your images, like, I think it's more than enough to be able to get yourself there. And I just want to bring it up over and over again. Like, you don't have to do this in Lightroom. You can do this on your phone, on a free app. You can do this anywhere. I'm not really playing with a tone curve or anything like that, because like I said, this profile is meant to be shared as is, or if you want to play around with it, you can as well. So this is the before, the after, and I'm really happy with this image. I'll give you another example of an image that I wouldn't do anything to, which is this from Mother's Day weekend at the beach. I shot through a pretty dirty window, and the white balance that was used is just the regular white balance, the warm auto white balance, and I really feel like it hit that color that I really wanted, while also keeping things very like dreamlike. So this image I am super happy with. This is a straight out of camera JPEG, but if you really want to edit it, add some contrast to it, warm it up if you want to, cool it down, you can do so, play with the color, but like I said, I wouldn't do anything to this image. Like, I'm super happy with it. It's a little bit of a flatter image. Like I said, I really wanted that dreamy look, and yeah, I'm super happy with it. And then the last image I'm gonna kind of dissect and show you is this one. Also auto white balance with the tint shift, and that's basically it. This is straight to camera JPEG. You can see all my settings here. I didn't do anything to it. The great thing about the Ricoh GR is like the level of detail you can get with such a small camera. Like, where do I have it? It's here somewhere. Yeah, it's right here. This is the Ricoh GR. Like I have small hands, but it's such a great camera. So yeah, if you're interested, definitely give this profile a go. I am super proud of it. I've been working on it for a long time. I mean, I worked on it for a couple months, from October to December. I haven't really made a video, both because I've been pretty busy. This is my latest video since like January, and it's May. So this is the longest time I've gone without making a video, but I do have a bunch of videos in the works. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, because I have a lot more videos coming up, both about the Ricoh GR IV and a couple other cameras that I'm really happy or really excited to talk about. But yeah, if you have any questions about this profile, the Ricoh GR IV, I do want to make another follow-up video about the Ricoh GR IV, like 6 months into owning it, what you can expect if you are interested in like the build quality, anything like that. I do have a video coming up. But yeah, if you have any questions about the Ricoh GR IV, any other cameras, any comments, if you feel like there's some changes you can do to the profile that other people might be interested in, please leave them in the comment section below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.